Why this newfound optimism here?
Sure. So what we've picked up over the last few days is through the supply chain, we've learned that July was a bit better than we expected when it comes to iPhone demand. We do think that is concentrated primarily in the iPhone 15, so not necessarily a full read-through to the next cycle, but this is typically a period of time where you get a bit of a demand pause ahead of the next iPhone cycle. What we're actually seeing is relative strength in the iPhone 15. Again, builds around 54 million units in the September quarter. That is a record by about 4 million units compared to any other September quarter prior. Just to put that in context, that would imply roughly 55 million iPhone shipments in the September quarter. We're currently forecasting about 52.5 million. Consensus is about 50 million. So it's a relatively good data point that we're picking up on late cycle strength here.
Presumably all because of these new AI-related innovations. Did you put anything into those reports, and I'm curious your take on it to begin with, that some of these features were going to be delayed? What do we know about that, if anything?
Sure. I don't want to over-extrapolate late-cycle iPhone 15 strength with directly to Apple Intelligence. It's too hard to make that perfect correlation. But what we have talked about, and this has been well publicized, is we do believe the iPhone launch event will be sometime around September 10th. We do believe that iOS 18 will come out shortly thereafter, but that Apple Intelligence will somewhat be piecemeal, slowly rolled out through the ensuing weeks and months. Apple told us during earnings 2 weeks ago that the ChatGPT integration will come by calendar year end. And so the way that we think about that, at least today, is maybe you get a little bit of different seasonality in the cycle, meaning perhaps some consumers wait to upgrade until they see that those software features are in the market. Again, it's too early to make that call, but we are about 2 million units below consensus iPhone shipments in the December quarter, but above in the March and June quarter of 2025. We have that cycle pushed out a little bit simply because we think the Apple Intelligence rollout will be a bit later than we previously thought.
Were you surprised when you heard that Berkshire cut the stake in half?
I wasn't. Warren Buffett is obviously a legendary investor. He's up 10x on his Apple position. He bought it around $26, $27 initially, I believe. So the stock is up considerably. He's talked about the potential for higher capital gains taxes. Feels like it's a good time to maybe take some chips off the board. It is still Berkshire's #1 position by far. And if you go back to his roots, he's a value investor. Apple is a 30 times PE company today. That's not exactly a value stock. And so he's been public about saying that there's support, or he has support for Apple. He thinks the business model is strong. To me, this is him taking some chips off the table with a 10-bagger, effectively.
Yeah. Are you comfortable with 30 times?
I am. So the way that we think about it is twofold. One, we are predicting a multi-year upgrade cycle. Historically, that is what drives multiple expansion. So that's the first point. Second to that is, if you look back over time, there's a very clear positive correlation between services gross profit dollar mix and Apple's valuation. We continue to see services outgrowing the product business, which ultimately means services is becoming a greater proportion of Apple's gross profit dollar mix. That would support kind of a long-term tailwind to Apple's valuation. Historically, back in 2021, the stock peaked around 32 to 34 times earnings. So 30 times is where my price target stands. I feel comfortable with that.